Have you ever thought about the passage which says, Christ will come like a thief in the night? For decades, I believed that this was only speaking of the coming of the rapture, not knowing that there was a possibility that there was another meaning to this. There are millions of people living on earth today. Ask yourself, how many persons has Christ himself visited? Maybe hundreds, thousands, or probably hundreds of thousands. The question is, were we ready? I know I wasn't. Yes, I was visited, but I was not ready. He came to me like a thief in the night. I was so unprepared. As a child, I can remember my personality as being always wanting to please. I would say yes when all I wanted to do was to say no. My daddy taught me from as early as 3 to give to others the best, and then I could have what was left. My first lesson of setting the table was setting everybody else's plate first and then left mine for last. He would watch me do this for years just to make sure I did it just right in that same order. So what happened that night when Christ came? What went wrong? I was 7, almost 8. Mommy was unusually rough with me that night and sent me to bed way too early in my estimation. I was definitely not ready to sleep. Anyway, I turned off the light and laid in bed. I was there babbling about how much I didn't want to sleep. I remember saying that, and instantly I could see that there was a light that entered my room. I felt no fear. When I saw him, I had no fear of him. He didn't have to introduce himself to me because my spirit already knew that it was him. While he spoke to me, I couldn't see his face because of the light surrounding it. It wasn't a light that was bright so that I couldn't see him. I mean, it wasn't some people would say that when he comes in a light that you cannot bear to see. You cannot look into this light. No. I don't know if it was because I was young. Probably I didn't have a lot of sin on me, so I don't know. You know, but I saw the formation of him. He said, I want you to do something for me. And then he said, do you want to hear what it is? A feeling of pride took me over. Fear of him asking me to do something that I was going to be laughed at doing and ridiculed. Some weeks before this had happened to me, I had gone to church and had just been told the story of this man who was sent to dip himself into the river Jordan 7 times. The teacher told us that this was a filthy river. Instantly, I thought of Jesus. I thought Jesus was going to send me to a dirty water. That's what I thought, that he was going to tell me, Sue, go into a dirty water. I wish I never heard that story. Things probably would have been different. No, I wouldn't have this burden that's upon me. I told him no, I didn't want to hear what he had to say. That hurts. That hurt. No. For years, I've been having this on my conscience. What puzzled me is that I communicated with him as if I knew him forever. Let me just say that when I was talking with him, my mouth did not have to move. I heard him in my head. Yeah. One thing I realized with him is that he doesn't say a lot, just 3 words or 1 line, and that's it. Unlike me, who I was doing the talking. This is what puzzled me most. I was saying to him in an agitated manner. I said something like, you know I'm here this time to rest. So why are you asking me to do something? That's what I was saying to him. You know I'm here to rest. So why are you asking me to do something? I'm not talking about sleeping that night. I'm talking about resting. I'm here in this world now to rest. That was not my personality. Talking like this was out of character for me. My soul or spirit, whichever one you might call it, seemed way, way much older than my 7-year-old body. On one hand, my human mind was full of pride and fear, believing that I was going to be given something excruciating to accomplish. But my spirit was saying, I know you know that I'm here in this world now to rest. No, I was 7 at that time. What rest could I have been talking about? I don't know. I'm saying this to you and I'm thinking, is it even legal for me to say stuff like this? Or does it sound crazy? I said it and I can't believe I treated him in this manner. After saying no to him, that's when I saw the feature of his face, not totally, because what he showed me was his smile, a smile filled with love, pure love. It was unresenting. It was obvious he held no grudges towards me. Even to this day, I can't understand. I could have walked on him and he would still love me. That's the smile he gave me. Pure love. And I saw beard. I think I saw beard. But it was pure love. Then he said words I can never forget. He said, never again. I told you he didn't say much, but whatever he said, either it heals you or it will forever pierce you. Get it? It will either heal you or it will forever pierce you. And those words have pierced me forever. Those words never left me. Never again. Can you imagine Christ saying to you, never again? I'm still thinking, what does it mean? I know what it means, but there must be another explanation for never again. It can't be what I think it means. For years, that's what I have been thinking about every morning before I get out of bed. This is the reason I am exposing myself. I despise being on camera and being exposed, you know. I'm a very private person, but there are persons out there who this has happened to. I don't believe that I'm the only person that this has happened to. I mean, I don't believe that I'm the only person that said no to Jesus, to Christ. No. But I don't want this to happen to anybody else. I don't want them to go through the pain. It's regret. Regret is one of the worst things that could ever happen to somebody. And if I can prevent this or help somebody that way it doesn't happen to them, I'm sure that he comes so often. And so many of us don't even realize until he's gone that he came. We have to be prepared for these visitations. There must be a way for us to be prepared. Revelation 16:15 says, "Behold, I come as a thief. Blessed is he that watcheth and keep his garments clean, lest he walk naked and they see his shame." Can you imagine that? I'm ashamed for what I've done. So my shame is exposed. For years I've covered it. I've hidden it with decorative blocks or decorative hedging. I've buried it because of shame. But for me to help somebody else, to let them know that this will happen to you, don't let it happen to you, I have to expose myself. Matthew 24:44 says, "So you also must be ready, because the Son of Man will come at an hour when you do not expect him." That is so true. My prayer is that you will be ready and not make the same mistakes. No matter how good you are a person, you think you are, the worst parts of you have a way of sometimes rising up and robbing you of your gift from God. When he comes to bear you gifts. He doesn't come to ridicule you. He doesn't come to put you to shame. He comes to lift you up. So we have to always put in the back of our minds that when he comes, he's here to lift us up. I remember when I was being baptized and I went into the water. I was so scared because I kept saying to myself, what am I doing here? Can I do this? I think I'm over my head. But and as I was getting into the water, I remember a friend of mine, Christine, said to me before that, she gave me a passage which says, "My burden is light and my yoke is easy." And I remember that. I can never forget that. I can never forget that. It's as if he knows when your mind is not thinking about spiritual things, and he chooses to come in that moment when you're naked, when you don't have on your armor of righteousness. It almost feels like a game that we're playing. It almost feels like this game that we're in, but it's not. It's like, catch me if you can, catch me when I'm not ready. It's like I don't know. But what I've learned through contemplation is without courage that you're either born with or that you have developed on this earth, or through self-awareness, meaning knowing your weaknesses and conquering them, you will not be able to serve God in spirit and in truth. You will not be. It takes courage. It takes courage. It's not just reading the Bible and not getting into trouble, or it takes courage. You cannot be afraid to serve him. not be afraid. Okay, let's 30 something years later, after this has happened to me, I thought that he would never come back. He would never reveal himself to me again. I don't remember, I think it was 2008. Usain Bolt he was doing some trials before the Olympics, the first Olympics he's gone in. I think it was the first Olympics he went into. But he did this race. Okay, I think a couple of days before that, or the same day, but the morning, I can't remember specifically. But I usually sleep late. But my husband wakes up early, so he's downstairs in the yard. A person that was living with us, a lady, she said to me when I got up, this man came to the gates. He came and he sat at our gates. And he said to my husband, no, my husband saw him, and my husband asked him, why are you here? Why are you here? And he said to my husband, God said he's coming. He's coming here. My husband is he's God-fearing. He's very God-fearing, but he's a rough person. And he said to the man, okay, well, go out the road and you'll see him there. God will pass. Oh, no, the man said to my husband, God said he's passing here. He's passing here today. That's passing my house today. So my husband said to him, okay, go out the road and God will pass there too. So the man left and went up the road. I think it was that evening, that night, Usain Bolt had a run that day. So we're watching the news and I'm in the kitchen cleaning up. And then it was on the news that Usain had pulled up in the race. I think he pulled up in the race. I think he came second to last. I don't know but I watched it and I don't remember exactly, but he didn't win. He didn't come second or third, but he had an injury in the race. And I had given my husband his dinner. And then I was watching the race, the news. Oral Tracy, he's this sports commentary person. He does a commentary after the news. So he was doing one on Usain Bolt. And while he was showing what was happening, what had happened in the race, I was leaning on the counter and the TV is in front of me. And I saw a man walk behind me. I was looking at the TV, but I could still see this man walking behind me. He's in my house now, and there's no one there. I think probably my son was born there. One of my sons were there, and my housekeeper and my husband. And the man was about in his 80s, 80 something. He could be older or younger, but he's about that age group, in his about 80 something. And he said to me, he was in this plaid. He had on a lot of clothes. And I think he had on a little hat, one of those English hats. And he had on a lot of clothes. I definitely remember him wearing fine plaid cover-up jackets, and I think he had a couple garments underneath his outer clothes. But I remember seeing fine plaid. It looks like he had it for a very long time, like for years. But you know those good material that just don't wash out. They don't fade. But you can see that he's very okay with what he's wearing. You know, it's never about the dressing for him. That's, I felt his spirit. I realized that this is a very comfortable person with himself. and dressing is really the least of what's on his mind. And he said to me, look at him. That was when Usain Bolt was running. He was running, and I saw him break up, like, he's eased up when he was running. I think that's when he had the injury. And I said, why? And at that time, and I wasn't afraid. I've never seen him, but my spirit felt as if he's always in the house. He's always there. My spirit felt as if he's my family. He's always around. This old man reminds me of, I've never been in an extended family. I'm the only child. But I could visualize, I could see, I could feel the kind of person he was. It's like he lives in the back room. He doesn't bother you, and he doesn't interfere with your life. Is a kind of old man that he has his pattern. He drinks his coffee at this time, so you can set your watch on his going in and out. But he doesn't interfere with his family. If he lives with you, he doesn't interfere with what you're doing. So it's like he feels like an extended family person living in your house. And anyway, he said to me, look at him. And I said, why? And in front of me, I saw the word legend in front of me. I said, what's that? What do you mean? And beside me, beside the word legend, there's a picture in a frame of Bob Marley. I said, yeah. And he said, well, I said to myself, if I'm seeing all this, I know I want to see more. To my right, I could see into heaven, a small part of heaven, a small part. I could see two women, one tall and one a little shorter than. They're different heights. They're old women. Like they looked, but they're in heavenly places. They weren't really old, but you could see that they're older than me, yeah. And they were like, Usain Bolt was almost last, and he was injured, and they were happy. They were celebrating, and I'm like, they're in heaven and they're celebrating. He's injured and he's almost last or something like that. But they're it's as if heaven was celebrating just the way we celebrate, things on earth. They were watching the race, and I could see in my spirit that I couldn't see beyond these two women, but I felt in my spirit that heaven had these little groups of people doing the same thing, celebrating and being happy about Usain Bolt. Now, this was the beginning of his career before he even went on the world stage to become who he was. But he was, that day, I think, after that, I heard that day was one of the worst moments of his life. But heaven was celebrating. Heaven was everybody was ecstatic at that moment when he was at his lowest. And I turned around and I saw Christ. I believe that Jesus was that man that I saw. I believe that he came in that image as that man. I believe this because I felt no fear. I felt love. I felt family. I know him. The Bible says my sheep know my voice. He walked behind, and I said to myself, I said to myself in that moment, I'm not gonna even follow him because I know that he's not gone around the room. He's not gone to the other room. No, he's not. He went right through the house, I think. He just walked right through, and he went out. But what struck me is the fact that the day when Usain Bolt was at his lowest. Heaven was overjoyed and at its best. I mean, the way they were excited about him, it was, I'm thinking, is that how heaven is when we are going through our situations, our problems, when we are down and out and believe that we cannot make it and it's the last day of our lives and it's done? Heaven knows something that we don't. And that's what amazed me. That's what amazed me. And I learned something that day, you know. When you're down, that's when things are going to get better. That's when it's going to get better. Just give it time. Don't do anything drastic. It's funny, yeah. Anyway, that's what happened. So I said to my husband, I told him what happened at that. I told him what happened there. And he was so upset because he didn't, he like a lot of Jamaicans did it. We don't want Usain, he didn't want him to lose. And my husband said, no, stupidness, foolishness. I said to him, he's not going to lose again. He's not going to. Anyway, he said, no, it's not. He was so angry. I remember seeing him angry like that when I first got baptized. I saw that fear and anger in him. So I know that evil uses our loved ones to put us down when he realizes that we can be something, we can see something that he doesn't want us to see. He uses the people around us to let us feel less than we are. The people around you don't even know that they're being used in this manner. They're not. And a lot of our family members, they're babies when it comes to Christ. They're babies. So you have to you have to love them. They haven't grown the way you have grown. They're still coming, but they need time. So, but really, when I saw him get so rough and angry, I was like, if he feels this way, can you imagine if I tell people that I saw this? What would they feel? No, I'm telling you this because it's for you to know that when God gives you something, when he shows you something, this is what's going to happen. People are going to ridicule you. They're going to tell you that what you saw was not so, but you have to fight it. You have to, as I said, have the courage and ask God, what is it that he wants you to do? When God shows you something, the first thing you do is go to your Bible, pick up the Bible and turn to any page. I'm telling you, just turn the pages and you're going to see a miracle, because he's going to show you a scripture that is really definitely for you, right? You have to stay tough, stay strong, and be courageous in Christ. A lot of people who are not Christians out there, they have so much courage that Christians look at them and say, wow, he has balls. We as Christians need to have that. That's why it's so good when sinners are converted, especially the ones who are so courageous in their old life, and they don't change. They bring the same courage into the Christianity, into having in their Christian life. They bring that same courage, and we're always in awe of them. You know? I'll suggest to you to have cards around your house that states Revelation 16:15. Behold, I come as a thief. Blessed is he that watcheth and keep his garments clean, lest he walk naked and they see his shame. Things like that. a reminder, a day-to-day reminder, probably in the bathroom, in front of your toilet, or in the kitchen where you eat breakfast. Somewhere that you can always remember, when you get up in the morning, you can always remember that he can come anytime. Not just for the rapture. We keep preparing for the rapture, but we need to prepare for now, for tomorrow when he just comes. That's what we need to prepare for when he comes, on a day-to-day basis, when we don't even see him. Right? Thank you for listening.